What if the smartest private aircraft in the world isn't a jet at all? What if the future of luxury flying isn't about speed or status, but about efficiency, access, and control? That's the uncomfortable question posed by the Beechcraft Denali. It arrives without hype or theatrics, quietly challenging decades of assumptions about what upgrading in aviation really means. The Denali isn't loud or flashy, but it's disruptive because it dares to suggest that jets aren't always the smartest choice. What the Beechcraft Denali really is. The Beechcraft Denali is a clean sheet, single-engine, pressurized turboprop developed by Textron Aviation to sit at the very top of the turboprop market. It is not a derivative aircraft and not a stretched version of something older. This airplane was designed from scratch to compete directly with the best turboprops in the world while creeping uncomfortably close to light jet territory. Its mission is not to replace jets outright. Its mission is more subtle and more dangerous. It exists to make jet ownership feel increasingly difficult to justify for many real-world missions. The Denali is aimed at owners who care less about maximum cruise bragging rights and more about door-to-door efficiency, runway flexibility, operating logic, and cabin comfort that doesn't feel like a compromise. The engine that delayed everything and changed everything. At the heart of the Denali is the GE Aerospace Catalyst engine, and understanding this engine is key to understanding why the Denali matters at all. The Catalyst is the first clean sheet turboprop engine certified in over half a century. Most turboprops flying today rely on architectures designed decades ago. They are reliable, proven, and trusted, but they are not digitally native machines. The Catalyst engine is different by design. It uses full authority digital engine control, extensive additive manufacturing, and modern thermodynamic optimization. The result is an engine producing approximately 1,300 shaft horsepower while offering significantly improved fuel efficiency and lower maintenance complexity compared to legacy turboprop engines. This ambition came at a cost. Certification delays pushed the Denali's entry into service years beyond its original timeline. For a while, the airplane became known more for waiting than flying, but by 2024 and into 2025, certification milestones were finally cleared, momentum returned, and the Denali shifted from concept to inevitability. In aviation, delayed does not mean dead. It often means refined. Performance that makes jets uncomfortable. On paper, the Denali sits in a performance space that makes light jets nervous without trying to beat them outright. The aircraft is designed to cruise at roughly 285 knots, placing it firmly among the fastest turboprops ever conceived. Its range extends to around 1,600 nautical miles, allowing for serious regional and transcontinental missions with minimal compromise. The Denali climbs to a service ceiling of 31,000 feet, enabling it to cruise above much of the weather that defines uncomfortable flying days. Short takeoff performance allows it to operate from runways well under 3,000 feet in many conditions, unlocking airports that jets simply cannot access without restriction. This is where the Denali becomes dangerous. Jets are faster in a straight line, but aviation is rarely a straight line. Smaller airports, reduced taxi times, fewer delays, and shorter ground logistics often erase the raw speed advantage jets rely on. When door-to-door time is measured honestly, the Denali often arrives close enough to make the cost difference impossible to ignore. A cabin designed for humans, not marketing photos. The Denali's cabin is where Beechcraft quietly makes its strongest argument. With a cabin length of approximately 21 feet, a width around 6 feet, and a height of roughly 5 feet 6 inches, the Denali offers something turboprops were once criticized for lacking: genuine space. Passengers can stand upright, move naturally, and exist in the aircraft without feeling like guests in a cleverly disguised machine. The flat floor design and large windows create a sense of openness that rivals many light jets. Seating configurations allow for executive club layouts, productivity-focused arrangements, or mixed-use interiors that adapt to mission needs. Pressurization levels are designed to reduce fatigue, and acoustic treatments significantly lower cabin noise, eliminating the buzzing stereotype turboprops have carried for decades. This is not a cabin designed to impress in a brochure. It is designed to be lived in, worked in, and tolerated comfortably for hours at a time. That distinction matters more than most buyers realize until they experience it. A cockpit built around intelligence, not ego. Inside the cockpit, the Denali reveals its true philosophy, and it becomes clear that this airplane was never designed to impress egos. It was designed to support judgment. The Garmin G3000 avionics suite dominates the flight deck, but not in a way that overwhelms the pilot. High-resolution displays, intuitive touchscreen controls, synthetic vision, advanced weather awareness, and fully integrated traffic and terrain systems work together as a single ecosystem rather than a collection of disconnected tools. The goal is not to show how advanced the airplane is, but to quietly make every decision easier, faster, and more informed. Single pilot certification is not treated as a marketing line here. It is baked into the aircraft's DNA. Digital engine management through full authority control, automation that anticipates rather than reacts, and avionics that prioritize situational awareness allow pilots to focus on strategy instead of constant mechanical oversight. There is no expectation of hero flying. The Denali does not reward bravado or last-second improvisation. It rewards preparation, discipline, and calm execution. In that sense, the cockpit feels less like a stage and more like a professional workspace designed for consistency. This is not about flying like a legend or proving anything to anyone. It is about flying like a professional who values arriving safely, comfortably, and on schedule every single time. And in modern private aviation, that mindset is becoming more valuable than raw stick and rudder theatrics. The economics that rewrite ownership logic. Where the Denali truly separates itself from much of the private aviation market is not in luxury finishes or headline speed figures, but in cold, unavoidable mathematics. Single-engine turboprop architecture fundamentally changes the cost equation. Fuel burn is lower, maintenance complexity is reduced, and long-term ownership friction drops in ways that compound over time rather than disappear after the first year. These are not marginal differences, they are structural advantages. When compared to light jets, the Denali consumes significantly less fuel while still offering comparable mission capability for a large percentage of real-world flights. Purchase pricing in the mid to high $7 million range places it below most new jets, but the real difference shows up year after year in operating costs. Maintenance schedules are simpler, parts logistics are more predictable, and the overall financial stress of ownership is lower. For charter operators, this logic becomes even more compelling, with hourly rates well below jet equivalents while still delivering a premium passenger experience. This does not make the Denali a budget airplane, and it was never meant to be one. It makes it efficient. In private aviation, efficiency often matters more than prestige once the novelty wears off and the invoices start arriving. The Denali doesn't try to justify itself emotionally, it just makes financial sense, and that can be far more persuasive. Why the market was ready for the Denali? The Denali exists because the private aviation market is no longer what it was 20 years ago. Owners today value access, reliability, and flexibility more than pure performance metrics. They want aircraft that adapt to their schedules, their locations, and their operational realities instead of forcing compromises around runway length, airport availability, or operating cost anxiety. The world has become less predictable, and aviation decisions increasingly reflect that reality. Smaller airports, more dispersed business hubs, and rising operating costs have reshaped priorities across the industry. The Denali speaks directly to this shift. It appeals to business owners who value time efficiency, corporate operators looking for rational fleet decisions, charter fleets focused on utilization, and jet owners who are no longer interested in paying jet-level expenses for missions that rarely require jet performance. This is not a compromise aircraft designed to sit between categories. It is a recalibration of what top-tier private aviation looks like when logic is allowed to lead the conversation instead of tradition. The trade-offs that still exist. No airplane escapes reality. The Denali is still a turboprop, and for some buyers, that alone will always be a psychological hurdle. Jets remain faster at the top end, and brand perception still plays a role in purchasing decisions. Certification delays also left scars that will take time to fully heal in buyer confidence. But none of these limitations undermine the aircraft's core logic. They simply define its audience more clearly. The Denali is not trying to win everyone. It is trying to win the people who actually do the math. The question that defines its future: is the Beechcraft Denali the future of private aviation, or is it simply the aircraft that exposed how inefficient jets have become for most missions? Either way, its existence changes the conversation. It proves that speed is not the only metric that matters. Luxury is not exclusive to jets, and intelligence in design often outperforms spectacle. The Denali doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't beg for validation. It simply flies, efficiently and deliberately, while quietly forcing the industry to rethink its assumptions. And in aviation, the airplanes that change assumptions are the ones that last. If you enjoy deep dives like this, where we cut through hype, look at the numbers, and explain why certain certain machines quietly change entire industries. Make sure to like and subscribe. More aviation breakdowns are coming, and we're just getting started.